Hello and welcome to the Digital.ai Continuous Testing broadcast. I'm the Product Marketing Manager for Continuous Testing, Johnny Steiner, and I'm joined by Continuous Testing Product Manager, Yogev Baran. We're thrilled to announce the Ascension platform release for Digital.ai and Continuous Testing. This release adds new functionality to the continuous testing tools our customers already use in order to increase test coverages and accelerate their release cycles. In this 20-minute broadcast, we're going to go over the new continuous testing capabilities released as part of the Ascension platform release. Then we'll walk you through some demonstrations to show you how it all works in real time. Lastly, we'll see where to find more information about Digital.ai continuous testing and our latest releases. The highlights of this launch address some important factors in the world of continuous testing. First, we're helping to empower QA and testing teams. We know that expanding test coverages is imperative to businesses and their testing teams. That's why two of our new capabilities put test creation and editing in the hands of non-coding team members. The second highlight connects to the first in that the teams we're empowering will have the ability to stay atop the rapid code changes that are the hallmark of agile development to make sure that any defects that are discovered are eliminated in as short a time as possible. This is truly one scenario where DevOps and agile practices are combining for the greater good of an organization. Third, and based on the sometimes fraught relationship that stakeholders and testing teams have, our new analytic lenses ensure that organizational strategies are aligned between stakeholders and testing teams. Let's drill down a bit before we go into Yogev's demos. Starting with the Mobile Studio, this has been refreshed and revamped for better device interactions and ease of use. The simple and intuitive UI provides a larger device reflection and improved responsiveness for supported resolutions. The overall design gives users the feel of working within a true testing studio. The environment greatly benefits users who still work with our desktop studios like C-Test Automation and Appium Studio for Eclipse. Cloud managers will no longer be bogged down by time-consuming manual upgrades, while testing and QA teams will have more time to do just that, test. Next up, our test editor, which is an essential part of the new Mobile Studio. It gives users the ability to run and validate small chunks of code before adding them to their IDE. QA team members can create tests manually in the test editor, validate those tests, and then share the test code with automation testers who can add it to their regression tests. All of this is done with no coding skills necessary. Next up, autonomous testing. And before we get into the feature briefly, autonomous testing is the automated creation of tests with a computer acting and thinking like a human. What it amounts to is test creation without coding. The result is a dramatic reduction in workload for engineering teams. Our autonomous testing capability self-learns your application and auto-generates sanity tests without the need for coding experience. It helps accelerate testing with quick autonomic navigation in your app, and autonomous testing's flexibility helps cut testing times and lower delivery pressure while allowing enterprises to release with confidence. One of the differentiators between our autonomous testing capability and that of some of our competitors is the fact that our competitor solutions require manual interactions or to upload scripts into the system before generating tests. Our system is truly autonomous and requires no uploading, nothing ahead of time. Once a user sets up their workspace and selects their app, the system will explore all the pages in the app, analyze the interactions and connections between them. Once the analysis is complete, they can generate tests, run them against devices in the cloud, and edit them as needed. Next up, the lenses, and briefly about these lenses. They are our out-of-the-box analytics that empower teams to ask deeper questions, drive accountability and transparency, and make data-driven decisions. They allow organizations to drill down into their data to better understand where the challenges are and provide visibility for ways to improve. The Integrate and Test lens, which is part of this purpose-built analytics application, has a rich library of pre-built metrics and embedded best practices. With this lens, you'll be able to enable development and QA teams to use data-driven insights to improve user experience through better code quality, higher testing effectiveness, and reduce defect leakage. Leaders can analyze code coverage, build and test automation, test cases, and their execution and defects to spot and deep dive into systemic issues and trends. The solution includes out-of-the-box integrations with common CI and quality tools, among others. It's going to ensure that your strategy will align with your test execution, and it's going to track the business impact of software development and delivery. Before we get into the demos, I'd like to point out a few more improvements that we've rolled out recently. First up, Digital.ai continuous testing was the first to market to support devices running Android 13 in our testing cloud. We've also rolled out a web app testing integration with Cypress, which is an end-to-end testing framework for web test automation. Our manual reporting tool integrates with test case management tools and also gives manual testers the ability to create detailed reports. And finally, you can easily and directly connect to remote regions using our multi-region execution. And now to show you demos of some of the capabilities that we've just talked about, I'm going to hand the keys over to Yogev. Yogev?
Thank you very much, Johnny. So let's start with the Mobile Studio. As you can see, there is a fresh new look to the Mobile Studio. As Johnny mentioned, the Mobile Studio is now responsive to different screen resolution. So as you can see, if we change the size of the screen, the platform stays really responsive. Okay, so moreover, the tools that are used while testing are designed as floating windows and can be rearranged by the user. We can see it here. If we open, for example, Simulate Capture, we can see there is a floating window for Simulate Capture. The user can rearrange the screen also here in remote debugging. It's really flexible and easy to use. And lastly, some of the windows that have resize functionality and docking functionality, so the user can personalize it. For example, the console. Now we can see it in a docking state to the right of the screen, can be also as a floating window and can be moved from one place to another. So this is what we have with the Mobile Studio. Let's move on to the test editor. Okay, the test editor. In fact, the test editor allows users to run and validate a small chunk of codes before adding them to their IDE. Now I want to go with you over some kind of a testing flow for login page. So first of all, let's open an app that we want to use to do the test on. So let's launch the Airy Bank app. Let's first log out and clear the credential. Okay, and fetch the dump of the app. And now let's start with building the test. First of all, let's click on the username element, copy a unique XPath, and add the first step. Here, this type of step is send keys. So you can see all the information here. The action is send keys. The text, we want to enter its company. This is the username. And the expert is here as well. You can see the test editor is in a docking state, right? We can also put it in a floating mode, like here, and move it back to a docking state. This is one thing I wanted to show you. Let's move on to the test and click on the next element, the password element, and copy a unique XPath for this element as well. Add a step to the test, and this type of step is also send keys. Here we put the text that the password is basically a company, and we can see the XPath here. Now the last element for this test is the login element. We want to copy a unique XPath of this element, add the step for the test, and this type of step is a click type of step. And we have these three steps for the test, and let's run it and see how it works. So we click on play, and the test runs. Let's see what the console says. So we can see what happens behind the scene. We can also see the live reflection of the device. Okay, you can see that information is inserted to the device. Click on the login page, the login element, and this is what we have. Test passed. Okay, so this is a test editor. This is how it works. Let's move on to autonomous testing, our test creation tool. Let's see how it works. So I open it in advance. Firstly, we need to start with giving a name for a workspace, the workspace we will work on. Let's give the name April Launch. Okay, next. Currently, we support Android application. Soon we will also support iOS application. Let's choose the same app that we worked on before, the AirBank application. We also have an option to upload an application here. And let's create this workspace. Okay, the first step we need to do is to start with the exploration. The exploration, basically, the aim of it is to scan the application, and eventually we will get a graph, a map of the application and the different screens of the application and the connections between them. So I click on Start Exploration, and here you can see you can choose a name for the exploration. You can choose the application version if you upload several applications in different versions. You can choose the number of devices you want to run this exploration on. If you choose more devices, the exploration will be faster. We can choose a specific device, and we can choose also parameters in case we have an application with a login credential that we want to insert ahead. And we will click start, but since it will take several minutes, I prepared in advance, and I will show you how it works and what you will get after several minutes. So here is a workspace with exploration that's finished, as you can see here. And this is the graph that you will get after several minutes, the graph of the application, the different pages in the application and the connections between them. So this is how it works. Next, I want to talk with you about gates. Gates is basically all the information that comes from the user and need to be inserted to the application. For example, credential. Okay, we need to insert the username, we need to insert the password, and this is the place we go for. So we have two options to insert this information. First of all, we can use an XPath. Put here an XPath and basically log in with this information. Or we can use a form. This is a really, really cool feature. We just click on suggest, and we get these parameters, and we just need to insert the value. Okay, if you remember from before, the values are company and company, and I click on save, and that way I can open this gate and continue with the exploration. And while continuing, the system will discover more pages that follows the login page. Okay, since I did it already and we have this exploration ready, as you can see here in the graph, it's ready and it explored all the application. Let's go to the next phase. After I opened all the gates, I scanned the app to the fullest, I want to create tasks from this exploration. Based on the exploration, I just click on generate task, and after a few seconds, not more than that, I will be able to see all the different tests on this page. Okay, and these tests are based on the graph that I showed you. We have an option to choose test here, to duplicate it, to delete it, to execute it on a device in our cloud. And this is something really cool. We can also choose several tests and execute them on several devices on the cloud. But another interesting thing here that we can choose a test, click on edit, and now we can see the steps in the test. For example, we are navigating to this page. Okay, we click on the login button. We have here to change, of course, the element of the activity, the page, and verify it by this activity or page, right? And we can also verify it by a different element. So these are the steps of the test. We can also add new step to the test. And this is basically the autonomous testing platform that we have here. Thank you very much. Back to you, Johnny, and the lens.
Thank you, Yogev, for those informative and in-depth demonstrations. I'm now going to show you a demonstration of the Integrate and Test lens. The Integrate and Test lens is part of our Analytics Lens tool, and it uses data to drive continuous improvements across your software lifecycle. Since we're talking about the continuous testing, we're in the test execution summary, and here you can see the total number of test executions with pass-failed metrics. Next to that, we can see the trends of pass-failed as they were executed across a specific amount of time. Below that, we can see the different regions executing tests, and we can divide it up by iOS and Android devices. So when we click on Android, we can see that the German, Israel, and UK data centers are the ones running those tests. Below that, we have a breakdown of all the different devices with their passed and failed executions, percentage failed, and the number of executions overall. And next to that, we have our execution report details that shows you the amount of time that it took for each test to be executed. You can see passed and failed testing times here underneath each device. They can be open and closed as well. We're going to take a look at the application overview as well. You can see we have 6 applications in 7 device sizes and 6 locations. Here's a list of all the test applications. And then we can see the different test device screen sizes that are being tested and the application build versions. Underneath that, we can see the different locations again that are executing the test. These are all of our global data centers. And underneath that, we have the test execution duration along with manufacturer, device model, application build version, and release version information. And going back to the test execution summary, just briefly to show you how editable and customizable these dashboards are, I'm going to take a look at the datasets panel. And these are a list of all the pre-recorded data metrics that you can add to your reports. And you can basically just click and drag them and add them wherever you want them to fully customize your experience with the Integrate and Test lens. Lastly, in order to find additional information on continuous testing and our new releases in the Ascension platform release, you can find our information at our newly redesigned continuous testing homepage. You can discover more with our detailed documentation, and you can read our latest blog about how we were first to market to test using Android 13 DP devices. That's all for the continuous testing broadcast. For Yogev Baron and Digital.ai Continuous Testing, I'm Johnny Steiner. Thank you very much and have a great day.